Actually live. What's up, guys? Welcome into episode 106 of the Missed Call Podcast. This is Cub Wood, and as always, I'm here with Sauce Sartori. And today's special guest is from the Chicago Sky, Diamond DeShields. Diamond, thank you so much for stopping by.
What's going on, Cub and Sauce? Appreciate you guys for having me on. This is going to be a lot of fun.
It's gonna be a ton of fun. And I mean, since the day we figured out that you were you had the time for us, we've been anxious for this moment. This is going to be a huge podcast. We're very excited for this. Third overall pick in 2018, but you've been an all-star already. You've won a skills competition, and you're one of the hottest rising stars in the WNBA. And this is awesome. This is a great day for us, and hopefully it'll be a great day for you as well after we finish the podcast. But this is a stressful day for you, or has been anyway, in the fact that you had to take a COVID-19 test today, and they surprised you a little bit.
I did, man. It was something I've been running from. I feel like I've been doing my part, social distancing. I live alone. I've been in the house, and with the season gearing up, everybody had to go face that moment. And today was my day, and it was very unfortunate, but I made it through, man. It's all good.
Well, because normally it's only the one nostril that they hit you with, but today they came in.
Yeah, they came in.
They hit you with that double barrel.
They did, and it was unpleasant. It was very unpleasant. But I don't never, I don't never want to endanger anybody on my team, and so I was willing to make that sacrifice for them, and that it did hurt. It was very uncomfortable.
A true team player.
And then you got the cookie.
And then I got the cookie. The nurse actually felt so bad for me that she gave me a cookie, and I appreciated that. So the cookie definitely helped.
She's like, sorry for tickling the back of the front of your brain twice. Here's a cookie.
Literally, that took mental toughness to like a whole nother level.
I didn't think about it that way, but you're 100% correct.
Yeah, I mean, just
does that play into the Mamba mentality, I wonder?
It must. I mean, I don't even think Kobe has experienced something like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like this was beyond anything. Like, how in the movies when somebody throws a grenade or a bomb goes off, and the way they film it, it's like when they're reorienting themselves, it's like the white noise. That's what I heard when she stuck the thing in my nose, and it was like I couldn't move. It was like my whole body just froze.
Yeah, because you just took like Mike Tyson punches to the front of your brain.
That's how I
felt. And now you can't smell anything.
Man, for like 5 minutes I could not smell anything. I was like, wow, this is why people lose their sense of smell. Right. I get it.
They snagged all those senses right out of you.
Yeah.
So obviously the COVID-19 tests are because the WNBA is getting ready to return to play. And well, I guess we could talk about that for a second. You guys are going to be playing in those bubbles that we've heard of. Where are you headed? Where are the Sky headed? And how does that all work out for you guys?
We're playing at IMG. So the league and IMG have come to an agreement to host us. Something that we're very grateful for, and that's where we'll be. Start of maybe like July, early July, and then the last playoff game I think is in October. So
wow,
yeah,
that's
if all goes, according to plan.
Yeah,
because if one person gets it, it's all over.
I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not the expert. I know that, we have been working closely, we meaning the league, with, medical experts, doctors, and whoever else to make sure that we can make it as safe as possible. But I leave that to them. I don't know what it all entails, the health protocols, everything is just changed. Like this time is unprecedented. So,
Well, and as a player, how accessible is that information? Like, how privy are you to the actual details of how it's all shaking out?
Well, I mean, of course, we have to be pretty close to it because this is our health, and we all have so many questions and concerns in regards to the situation. So they give us enough, but we also have to be understanding how flexible things are right now and how ever changing everything is. Like tomorrow could be something totally different. So,
Right.
we have the information as of today, and we also have the understanding that tomorrow it could change.
Right. Well, as every single news outlet has been saying, these are truly unprecedented times.
Yeah, for sure.
You hate that word.
I
Sauce,
see.
you
The
hate
thing
that
is,
word.
I didn't hate that word before Corona hit, and now uncertain, unprecedented, and strange. Like those three words, I'm overhearing those three words all the time.
Yeah, unprecedented for sure.
Because it's a word that I feel people use, or at least the news outlets and companies use to sound slightly above the average intelligence.
Yeah, like a little bit more sophisticated.
Right. Well, you don't got to
I
be
feel
using
you.
unprecedented. Just say we don't know what the hell's going on.
Right. It's weird. It's weird out here. It's spooky.
It is. And
Imagine if they said that.
You said what?
spooky.
Imagine if they said that on the news. Actually, it's just really
spooky.
weird out here, guys. It's really weird.
Real,
It's kind of spooky.
it's weird out here.
To be honest with you, it's kind of spooky. And then, well, to kind of add to the crazy time that we are in, we obviously have all of the protests and things going on in the wake of the tragic death of George Floyd, and you've been involved in a lot of ways in those protests, in kind of being a leader during these times. And I'm curious, what have you been doing in specific during all of this?
Well, I think we all had, or some are still having, to figure out what role they play in contributing to create to effective change. And for the first couple of weeks, I was in that space too, and I kind of caught my stride in taking action more like behind the scenes, and doing things that some people are on social media, and like I'll repost and try to bring awareness that way. But one of the cool things that I've been involved in is I joined Sam Acho, who played for the Bears. He created a non-for-profit called Athletes for Justice, and it's a bunch of Chicago athletes. It's me, Jason Hayward, Ryan Archidiacono, who else? It's a lot, like hockey guys. It's members from almost every sports team in Chicago. Awesome. And what we're working on right now is we're working with By the Hand on building on. We've actually closed on. There's a liquor store in Austin that has been located like across the street from the charter school that By the Hand has created, and we've bought that liquor store, and are now in the process of knocking it down and turning it into a fresh market, basically, for the students at this school to learn about business and operating, running, and owning a store, and funneling money back into that community. So that's one thing. Obviously, I have a partnership with Oakley, and they've been really huge in supporting me and all the other Black athletes as far as, making donations on our behalf, and also talking to us about some initiatives that we're involved with. So that's kind of like where I fit into it. I feel like, I'm more hands-on, and that's what I've really been doing.
I think it's really interesting that you said that everybody fits in a different way, right? Like, obviously, a lot of people are finding that they fit in in advocating on social media, whether it's reposting, making their own posts, speaking out and things like that. And then there are people like you, Diamond, who are doing things, like you said, behind the scenes, and maybe not having to have it all over social media to prove like, hey, I did the thing, but just
Right.
doing it because it's the right thing to do.
Right. I mean, it's part of, to me, it's just part of being a person in general. I mean, like, even before this surge in you know, activism and everything that's going on right now, like, people use social media to be like, hey, like, look what I'm doing and look who I helped. And that works for some people. But I haven't really ever been that type of person. And it's no knock to people who do, you know, that we do need social media. Social media is really the reason why all this is being exposed the way that it is. So,
Right.
but yeah, so like I said, everybody has their thing, right? So
Without a doubt.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad she said that, because I'm not that type person to go protest. Like, that's not me. But I'd rather do stuff like this where we can just have the conversation and then I post it out on my platform,
right.
because I think a better fit for myself. So that made me feel a lot better that I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah,
At least I know that I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah, that's okay. Like, you don't have to you don't have to feel like because of like this is something that everybody else is doing that I need to do it too. You know what I mean? It's like I said, as long as you guys as white men, you know what I'm saying, are engaging in the conversation, are educating yourselves, and are speaking up on behalf of Black people in the spaces that you guys are in, then that's your role. You know, that's where you fit in.
And then I think the biggest issue with like this is like other white people shaming white people because they're not doing a certain thing. Like, say someone shamed me for not protesting. Like, hey, I'm doing my own thing.
Right.
Like, shaming me doesn't help anything.
Exactly. I mean, it's everybody has their own process, and you see a lot of that in white communities. You see it in Black communities too. Like, you know, sometimes we are overly critical of each other, just because, you know, there's no, you don't know what a person is going through. You don't know what a person is doing to be that critical of them. So, you know, I just try to focus on myself. And when I get a chance to speak and have a one-on-one conversation, I think those are more effective.
Yeah,
exactly.
Most definitely. Go ahead, Cub.
Go ahead. I was going to say that there's a lot of people that are just in the black and white, and then like I'm in the gray area the whole time. I'm not black and white. I'm fully gray, and a lot of people are in black and white, and I think that's kind of the problem.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this is not going to happen overnight. You know what I'm saying? But as long as you're not saying nothing, you're not doing nothing, you know what I mean?
Right.
Then that's okay. Like, if you're using your platform and your podcast to bring awareness, then that's more than a lot of people can do. You know, for some people, all they really have is the protest, you know, and everybody doesn't have a platform like you guys or like myself to be able to speak and have their voices be heard. Like, that's part of what we're fighting for right now. You know, it's for people to be able to have their voices be heard. And so I don't even see it as black and white. I just see it as it's just more than one way to skin a cat. You know, it's like, it's no right or wrong, or like, this is, if there was a, you know, like, we're trying to do something that's never been done, you know? So
yeah, no,
who knows
definitely.
what's right or who knows what's wrong? Like, I mean, we know what's bad in the world and what's hurting us, but how we combat that and how we overcome that is something we're all trying to figure out together.
Right, most definitely. I mean, and one of the things that I've been saying during this, at least it's something that I've gathered through all of it, is, you know, I feel like today there is a lot of adjectives that we add in front of person, right? Like, whether it's a black person, white person, right? I feel like we have a lot of adjectives that we throw in front of person today, and you know, while those things make us unique and it's important that we recognize those things, it's also important to remember that there is a commonality between all of those, and that is person. right? And we're all just people, and we need to treat each other as people. And I think that, you know, part of all of this is meeting people where they're at, right? So, you know, some people are at a point where they are very progressive, and they completely get it, and they're completely trying to make a change and do something like that. And there are people where you do need to sit down and have those one-on-one conversations, and you do need to be able to think on both sides, like, how did this person grow up, where did they grow up, and things like that. And then as you're having that conversation, remind them and continue to try to persuade and change minds, and be like, yeah, but did you ever think about it this way or that way? And like I said, meeting people where they're at.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I agree with that. You have to be able to talk to people, and you have to be able to understand people's backgrounds and understand people's stories and why they feel or think the way that they do. And only then can you open up the conversation to be able to have it be like constructive to a point where both sides can benefit from it. You know, it's like it's very hard to talk to somebody when that person doesn't feel like you are giving them a chance to kind of tell their side and how they feel. And so, I mean, it's like I said, I'm all about having this conversation with, you know, my white friends, white teammates, white people or persons, you know, because although, like you said, we are all people, and that's the ideal way of looking at it. It's like right now, this is about Black people,
Oh yeah, oh
and
yeah.
and only then, once we acknowledge that, can we start to move towards the point of like, okay, maybe we can get there, you know? So
Yeah, and I guess I'll say again, like, I would never say like we should neglect the fact that everybody's different, and in that way, like, we should celebrate those things and appreciate those things about one another. But we should always remember that at the end of the day, we're all people, and we should treat each other as people, you
right,
know?
right, for sure.
And then I think the hardest part for me, like with the one-on-one conversations, is like family members and them. Like, I know, or they don't get what I'm trying to explain to them, but they're not like against all this. If that makes
Yeah,
any sense,
yeah.
it's just really
I mean,
stressful. Like
I
to get,
mean,
like, come on.
it's because like, it, I mean, I don't know your family, you know what I mean? But the way I would respond to that is I would say like, it's hard for people to care about things that they don't feel directly affects them, you know. And that's the case
Yeah,
for a lot of white people. Like a lot of white people haven't dealt with the, you know, the negative effects of redlining and like, you know, just being Black, like, or just as a white son, your mother has never had to worry about, you know what I'm saying, you leaving and not coming back because you just got shot by the police. You know, they might be like, oh, Cub did something stupid and, you know, with his friends, but it's never a thought of like this could cause him to lose his life, you know. So it's like it's a
yeah.
perspective thing for a lot of white people that you have to shift, and it's hard because a lot of white people just don't have any like concept of like what it is to be Black and never will. But I appreciate all of those who try to gain a better understanding and try to educate themselves.
Well, at the very least, that's what we're trying to do here, and we're trying to spread that education to our however many people tune in and listen to us. But
Yeah.
the people that do tune in and listen to us are getting this valuable information from you, Diamond. Now, I would like to ask, and then we can move on to more jovial things. But I
Yeah.
would like to ask. As an individual, let's say that one of our listeners out there is listening and wants to know, as one human being in this larger world, what can I do specifically to push this cause, to be more involved in this cause? And I guess that's my question. But how can one individual be more involved in this cause?
Well, it's, I mean, not to reiterate it, but it starts with opening yourself up. Like it starts with one, acknowledging your own racial biases that you have perpetrated unknowingly or knowingly, and giving yourself space to forgive yourself for that. Like, we all can change. Like, because you were one way accidentally or intentionally doesn't mean you have to continue to be that way, especially after learning the truth. One thing about the truth, you can't unlearn it. And so even if you grew up as a privileged, spoiled white kid and, unknowingly, said or did some racist things, once you learn the truth about those things, you can forgive that part of yourself and work towards improving and growing. And two, also, I think that it's important to use your privilege. Understand that you were born with a seat at the table of privilege that not even me will ever has ever had in my life, or the most prominent Black athlete, entertainer, influencer will have. And so with that, you guys are able to step into rooms and have conversations with people in ways that we probably could never. And use that, and don't be afraid from that, and don't run from that. And thirdly, understand that none of this stuff matters unless we vote. And so continue or try to, get people out to vote and educate yourself, because in the Black communities, like, the numbers as far as voter population and percentages are incredibly low. When the Voting Rights Act was passed, 90% of Black people voted, and that number is now, you could fact check it, I think it's below 30%. Like, it's dropped substantially. So I think, those are really the big things. And two, don't feel intimidated. Like, this is uncomfortable for everybody. And I know for myself as a Black woman, there are things that I'm still learning as well, so don't assume that all Black people just know everything about this situation, because we don't. A lot of us have been kind of lost and manipulated as well over time. And so there are things that we're all there are mental chains and bondages that we're all trying to break free from. And that's something that we can experience together.
That is that last statement you made where you said, don't assume that every Black person knows everything about the situation. I think that might be a situation where a lot of people, at least maybe a lot of white people, have that misconception that, oh, well, I think
they're
even
Black.
I think even,
like, let me ask, so and so, like, he's a Black person. It's like we're all like learning. We're all like, there are things that we're learning now about slavery. Like, I'm seeing so much information now that, like, I just didn't even know that was just wiped away from history books,
right.
And all that stuff is new to me too. So
I would even say that I've kind of maybe even fallen into that way of thinking. Maybe maybe even on this podcast in a way, in that, we have a guest on who is Black, and we just ask these questions of, like, what are you doing, or what is, just asking these questions. And I guess I didn't even think about it that way. But again, that's part of having these conversations, is becoming educated in that way. And you laid some knowledge on me today, Diamond.
Yeah, and I mean, okay, like, to even further that point, it's like, I'm 25 years old, right? Went to college, graduated, and never did I did not know how to register to vote. Did not. Okay. I only learned how to register to vote a couple years ago. I didn't even know what the voting process looked like. And that's me coming from well above average, background, etc. And so it's not fair to assume that, along with the many other assumptions placed on Black people, right? And I think that that's something, as a white person, that you have to try to, it's good to acknowledge, but now it's like you have to change the thinking now.
Most definitely. And that's all part of it. So I appreciate you for laying those nuggets on me today. I something that I will take into my own life and move forward with better knowledge.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. We ready to move on, Sauce? From him?
I'm ready. I'm down to ride. That's it. That's it.
All right. Well, Diamond, here on the Missed Call Podcast, we are huge advocates for women athletes and women's sports, and we have the conversation all the time with our guests on how do we normalize women's sports. And I want to know, outside of networks giving more airtime to these athletes in these sports, how can like individuals help normalize it?
I just think you have to keep having conversations around it. And every change and every movement that we need to take place, it starts with the youth. And so we have to familiarize our faces with these kids.
Yep.
And so, you know, aside from TV time and broadcasts and everything like that, I always think it's so cool when we have those kids games and we like the stands is just filled with kids, and like as annoying as they are, they scream in timeouts and they scream for the other team. It's like, okay, wow, like these kids, young boys and young girls are seeing us out here doing and playing a game that we love at a very, very high level, and it's being normalized in their brains. And so I think that if there's any time for a female athlete to interact with kids, be around kids, talk about sports with kids, I think that's a big piece too.
On the same topic, you on First Take said that women are haters, and I agree with that because I know someone who claims they care about women athletes and women's sports, but will not work with the sport, is like against helping with it. That means you're a hypocrite.
Right. And it was like, when I said it, it was like, there wasn't enough time to elaborate, but of course I still stand by that. Because in my experience, some of the hardest obstacles I faced have come from other female athletes and other women in sports. And there's an other side too. You know, there's the side of women who love women's sports, who advocate for women's sports, who push for women's sports. But just as a woman in general, to have space for any type of disapproval or negativity towards someone that's trying to get ahead as a female, I just think that, like you said, that's very hypocritical. And there's room, and I think that comes from there not being enough access for women, that it becomes like crabs in a barrel, kind of like people trying to, you know, just get into position and whatever, you know. But I feel like once you get to that place as a female, now you can pull other people up with you, and you can empower other people, and you can help other people, you know, achieve their goals and their dreams. And we just need more of that. You know, we're seeing it, and I'm seeing it, but we do need more of that.
It drove me nuts hearing somebody say, "Oh, I care about women's sports, but I wouldn't want to watch them though. I'd rather watch a man." Then you don't give a crap about women's sports.
Yeah.
You are a fan of sports. You're not a fan of sports. We say this all the time on the podcast. You're not a fan of sports.
There's not
about the other side.
There's not a man who would ever say that. Like, I love the NBA, but like I would never do anything involved. You know, like if you love sports, like sports is sports. Like that's just period.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
In that same interview, you told everybody, you're like, ball players recognize ball players.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's game.
Exactly. And I think when we spoke to your coach, James Wade, when we spoke to him, he even said, like, you know, if you are a fan of the game of basketball, you just like watching basketball. You know, I do broadcast. I broadcast play-by-play for my college. I'll do play-by-play, I do color commentary, and I recognize just watching the game in that kind of an analytical way that, you know, I feel like the women's game is a lot more fundamental, right? Like there is a more methodical movement to it that is, I think, a little bit more pure to the game of basketball, whereas the men sometimes just kind of say screw it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think from a purist perspective, maybe the women's game is a little bit better to watch. You know, there's the ball movement, there's that kind of, and like I said, mechanical way about playing the game of basketball that is present, ever present in the women's game.
For sure. I mean, it's not to say like men aren't skilled. You know, I always
Oh no.
no. I know you're not saying that, but like I
Okay.
always like think it's so funny when, you know, people are like, oh, she could play in the NBA, or, you know, she would beat so and so, the 12th man on this team. And it's just like, any guy in the NBA is incredibly talented. I don't care if he plays 35 minutes a game or 0 minutes a game. Like, they're all amazing, amazing players. But for us, it's like we don't have the athletic ability that they have to be able to just get away with, you know, some of the stuff they like taking off from the free throw line and just dunking. Like, you know, we can't do that. So, you know, fundamentals is definitely more prevalent in the women's game for sure.
I think it was James Wade we talked about, because I go to DePaul, and the women are significantly better than the men, and they are electrifying. And people still go to the men's game, and they're crap. The women's team is electrifying. Also, Doug Bruno shouted you out when we interviewed him. He's a big fan of yours.
Yeah, I was at the conference championship when DePaul was playing Marquette. I was at that game. They got a really good team. But yeah, I mean,
you're the biggest tournament?
Yeah, I was down there. I was there right before COVID shut everything down.
Right.
Yeah,
that was one of the last
game.
sporting events.
I was there.
Yeah, I was down there. So
damn it.
Yeah, and coach Doug Bruno, he's awesome. You know, he's built an amazing program there. Obviously, my teammate Allie, I love to death. She went to DePaul, so shout out to her too. But yeah, man, I mean, it just goes into that whole, it's like, it's marketing. Guys can dunk. People love watching guys dunk, and you know, you just got to give women's basketball a chance. I haven't met one person that has come to one of my games and didn't walk away saying, wow, like that was nice. Like, I actually enjoyed myself, you know? So people just really have to give it a chance. And then if you don't like it after that, then that's okay too, you know?
Maybe basketball's not for you.
Exactly. You know,
right.
like you know?
Most definitely.
Kick rocks if you don't like it. Kick rocks.
Right.
More or less.
Oh.
Oh, she's breaking out the charger.
Yeah,
she's breaking out the charger.
I'm at reserve battery. Yeah. All right, I'm good.
So, Diamond, I read that you took a hiatus, if you will, from social media for a while, and it wasn't for any BS like, oh, I'm taking a cleanse or anything like that. It was more so because you started realizing that you knew way too many intricate details about people's lives that didn't necessarily matter, what they had for lunch, etc. I read this somewhere because I read. What did you learn during that hiatus from social media?
I mean, I just learned, or I just felt that it was taken away from me experiencing my own life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it was like, I was looking at my screen time. Well, first of all, so I don't sound crazy, I was overseas.
Okay.
Which over there is like nothing to do.
All right.
So my screen time was at like 12, 15 hours a day. And
okay. No judgment.
I was like, this is way too much time to literally just be on my phone scrolling. You know what I mean? And I realized that I wasn't present with my teammates, who were from different backgrounds, different countries, and I wasn't giving them a chance to get to know me, nor was I giving myself a chance to get to know them. You know, I was taken away from my own life's experience. And so I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna just delete these apps and just try to be present here in Italy and experience, you know, this beautiful country and these beautiful people. for who and what they are.
Yeah, you go try food without taking a picture of it before you eat it. You eat first. Remember that. You eat first.
I rarely, yeah.
No, I think it's interesting, you know, because we have. I think there's a lot of people that it's going to sound weird when I say it, but there's a lot of people that will take a break from social media as a stunt for social media.
Right. It's like I'm gonna come back with like this huge rollout and like, oh, I'm dropping. Now I'm back on the gram. Like I just dropped my EP and get my mixtape. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Exactly. Or like or the influencer, like if you think of like the LA influencer, they come back and they're like, you know, it's taking too much, and then they come back a week later and it's like, I learned so much on my sabbatical.
Right. Yeah, I mean, for me, it was just like, and I did learn a lot throughout that process. Like even now, like I don't have social media apps on my phone, so like anytime I'm on social media, I have to go to the app store, you know, open it, and then I delete it because it's not, you know, I'm not a social media influencer. I don't get paid to be on Instagram, you know, and like some people make a living that way, and that's fine. But for me, it's like I use it to interact. I use it for different reasons, but it's not like a huge part of like me and who I am.
Well, and that's how we got a hold of you. So shout out social media.
Yeah.
Can we ask you, when you saw the graphic where you're like, what was your first response?
I was like, this is dope. Like I had seen like variations of it, you know what I mean? But I like the colors and everything, and it was very clear what it was and who it was. So I thought it was cool.
My best friend in the world, his name is Greg. He's a graphic art guy. He's actually my roommate at college. So I was like, hey Greg, can I put you on a task? He was like, anything. Yeah. So shout out to my boy Greg. Follow him at Lil Moose. But we're just really happy you saw that shit. We're just really happy you saw that. You thought you saw that. So that was awesome.
That's funny.
But if anybody's ever listened to an interview with you, most likely they've figured out who your dad is and who your brother is. But people don't put the respect on your mom's name as much as they should, because I think she was made in a lab.
Yeah, my mom she's different. My mom is different.
Yeah, so
my
she's
my mom different.
Heptathlon? Is it a heptathlon?
Well, she was a heptathlete.
Heptathlete. I figured that's what it was, but I was gonna call her a heptathlon competitor just to be sure.
Oh yeah, that's fair too.
So for people who don't know, it's a 2-day event that includes 7 track and field events. And I'm curious, as a kid, how hard was it to win anything in that house, and how much did you take it out on Delino?
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's so interesting when I get asked this question, because we weren't really that competitive with each other.
Really?
Like,
okay.
We were competitive. We used to have like swim competitions, and we used to race and play baseball and everything. But my brother was really my best friend, and anything that he did, he made sure that I was able to be a part of it in a way that, not like a big brother, like a twin. You know, he was like, we were equal, we were even to each other, and he always treated me that way. And I'll never forget, though, there was one moment where we were competing, we were actually racing. Now, if y'all don't know my brother, he's fast, like he's very fast.
Right,
but you know, I'm pretty fast too. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty fast. So his baseball team is over at the house, and we're racing, and I'm winning.
You just ducking everybody.
And I can feel that I'm about to win the race. And all of a sudden, my brother pushes me in my back, and like he did not let me win. And this would have probably been the only race I ever beat him in. And he never let me finish. And to this day, like some of his teammates, we joke about it and we laugh about it. To this day, like he was not gonna let me win that race. But that's like the most competitive moment I feel like we had. Like
not in front of all his boys.
In front of all his boys, man. You couldn't go out like that.
Did they boo him? I would have been like, bro, that's not cool.
Yeah, we just laughed it off. I feel like I don't even remember what happened afterwards, but I knew I won and he knew I won. So that's all that matters.
You see that graphic of you, your brother, and your dad all the time, but like your mom deserves to be there too. What's up with that?
Yeah, man, it's hard out here for a female. This is what it's like, and I always love to give my mom so much props and love for like her accolades as an athlete, because my mom was an All-American at Tennessee and I wasn't even an All-American, at Tennessee. And my mom, qualified to go to the Olympics, and ended up getting pregnant with my brother. And so she put her dreams on hold completely to start her family. And so, so much of what we do, my brother and I, is really like a shout out to her, because had it not been for her sacrificing her dream and her career, who knows? You know what I mean?
Right.
Diamond, we have interns, and we'll make a graphic for your mom. We'll just do it for her because she deserves it. We'll have someone make it for us.
Oh my gosh,
it's beautiful.
She will love that.
We got her. We got her.
That's really cool that you give it up for your mom in that way. That's awesome. I'm happy that we asked about it in that way, so you could give the praise there, because and just doing the research for the interview and things like that, you stumble upon every article says, oh, the daughter of DeShields Senior and the sister
which is
of
something
that
I hate. I'm like, first of all,
that doesn't need to be qualified.
He's the father of Diamond DeShields, and that's the brother of Diamond DeShields. Like, y'all, they always want to put me like I'm just like a subset or like a asterisk beside them, and I'm like, no, like I've worked my ass off to be able to, individualize myself within my family. And although I love the fact that my brother and my dad are who they are, it's like I'm somebody too, like standing on my own 2 feet, and but I guess I still got work to do. It's all good.
Go on, Queen.
But you got some good work behind you already, and it's only this way from here. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So we also wanted to talk about, in February, you had the opportunity to sit down with Max Kellerman and Stephen A. On this podcast, we have kind of a weird obsession with Stephen A. Even at one point, we had a segment dedicated to Stephen A. where we would yell about random things that we were upset about in the way that Stephen A. does.
Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't great. It wasn't great at all.
One episode.
It was, yeah, we decided after we did it. I think we decided as we did it. We're never doing this again. But I'm curious what that was like. Obviously the First Take show is one that is designed to kind of grab your attention and be a little bit outside the box. And I'm curious what that was kind of like behind the scenes, and how nerve-wracking it must have been, or not nerve-wracking at all, on the air.
It was cool. You sitting on something as big as First Take, especially during All-Star in Chicago. On top of that, everything was kind of perfect for me. But it was cool. Like Max Kellerman, Stephen A. Like those two guys are two huge sports personalities. And it was funny because as soon as I sat down, of course, what comes up, it's like,
I remember
first when your dad was playing. Yeah. And it's like, I remember when your dad was in Montreal and the Pedro Martinez trade, and
I know my dad. Hey Max, I get it.
Yeah, that's always like the first icebreaker that I have to go through, and then then it kind of got to me at some point, and but it was cool. It was cool, and I had to kind of put some trash talk in there too, because Stephen A. was coaching against in the celebrity game against the team that I was coaching, so I had to throw that in there too.
Yeah, you came at him right away. I was like, "Damn, Diamond, relax."
Came out punching.
Hey, it's like getting ready for a game, man. You got to let your opponent know. But he was cool, man. Yeah, Stephen A. He was cool, man. He's a great guy. I love what he does. I love the things that he says, and his animations hilarious.
How baggy were his pants?
You know what? I don't know. I ain't see him
What?
stand up, and I wasn't looking, so I'm not sure.
All right, last
Sauce, have you
question
never seen his pants?
No, I haven't.
He wears the Michael Jordan pants.
Oh, does he?
I've seen pictures. Yeah. I've seen pictures.
The last question I'll ask while we're on this topic is, please just let me know that off of the air, when he's not on the camera, if you had an opportunity to interact with him, of course, that he's not that crazy off camera too.
Nah,
He's got to be more mellow off camera,
yeah,
right?
he's a smooth dude. I think anything, it's like, have you watched the Deion Sanders document 30 for 30?
Yeah.
That was like, there's Deion and then there's Showtime. And it's just like, this is what you get when I'm playing, when I'm in between these four lines. It's like, it's Showtime. So I think it's like that with Stephen A. too. It's like, I'm sure he still can get crazy and rowdy off the camera,
Without a
but
doubt.
he really is a smooth, cool guy.
That's good to know. That's good to know. I love Stephen A. and I love when he's in those moments where he's just ranting on and on. He's like, that is completely blasphemous. I can't believe you would say so.
And he was on crack.
Man, hey, and he get paid to do that. So
He gets paid well.
I salute.
Yeah, exactly. So I read in an article that you said you used to hustle men. And I know you have some good stories regarding that. If you have one that comes to mind, I'd love to hear it. Because at one time you said it was fun and it was easy.
Yeah, I mean, I remember one time I was in Sarasota. My dad was down there coaching. I don't know if he was coaching in the minor league or if it was spring training, but he was down there coaching. I went and visited, and I was trying to work out, and I went to the YMCA. And got there and like was trying to play pickup, and none of the guys wanted to pick me. I'm trying to tell them, I'm like, can I play? Like, I'm trying to play.
Right.
So went over to anybody that knows, like, when you get into a gym where there's like two courts, there's like the court where the good players play, and then there's like the court where like the scrubs go to. So I was over there. I was where the scrubs was at.
That's where I play.
And
that's where I thrive.
This one dude checked the ball up to me. I scored on him. Pop, bucket. And so now he like hiking his shorts up, like, let me try to play for real. And so I end up dusting this guy. And then, of course, some of the other guys caught notice. And then, we started playing for money. And then I left the gym with like $50. We was playing like $10 games. So I had gone through like 5 different dudes. And I just left. And I was like, okay, like, I don't need to play pickup at this point. Like, it's all good. Y'all see me play.
You put them on notice.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they suck. Like, they were so bad. And it was just like so funny watching them like think that like because I was a girl that I wasn't gonna win. And I just thought that was so amazing because, like I said, growing up with my brother, I never experienced that. Like, so in my mind, I'm like, this dude is about to get whooped. Like, this is how it's gonna be today. It was cool.
I think that's kind of part of like the pickup game, though, is like looking at the other team and like, I know for me anyway, because I'm just a god awful defender. I try to pick the guy who looks the most unassuming. You know what I mean? Like, right. I think I can keep up with this guy. But that day they tried to do that and it did not work out for them.
Yeah, it's always me. I mean, it's so funny because sometimes when I go to the gym, well, now when I go to the gym, I'll get picked. But like, in high school and stuff, going to the gym, I always had to go with like my homeboys because I knew that they would pick me.
Right.
And I remember another story. We were playing, and this guy matches up with me. My best friend at the time, he's like, bro, she's gonna bust your ass. Like, I'm telling you. So he just, my friend is my best friend. He just keep kicking it to me. So I'm getting buckets, bop, 3, get to the cup, whatever. Right. So I drive past this dude and literally punches me in my face. Like, in my face. He was so mad. I was talking shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, the whole gym was like hyping the matchup because I was killing him. Hit me in my face, dude. And like the whole gym was about to start fighting. And I was just like, like, don't worry about it. I had to de-escalate the whole situation when
Right.
I was
What's
the
the
one that got
address?
hit, because I knew that my best friend and everybody else in there was about to just start fighting, and I didn't want that either. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so
What's
it's
his
just
address?
part of
Me
it.
and Scott want to talk.
I don't know, man. Some dudes will foul. Like, I've been fouled pretty hard by some guys that just got their pride hurt or got their feelings hurt. But,
Diamond, just give us their addresses. We'll just talk to them.
man, if I knew, I would.
So, are you a big trash talker? I was going to ask that, but then you kind of said it.
I'm not. I'm more of a
Salad beast.
yeah. But if trash gets talked to me, now it's like
You
now
got to
that's what
defend
we
yourself.
yeah.
Right.
Now that's what we doing. So, but I normally don't start it.
Do you have a go-to?
No, I don't. No, I don't really have a go-to, because my game always just speak for itself.
I got you.
So
I got you. I was always, as a
yeah.
kid, infatuated with Kevin Garnett
Oh yeah,
because of the trash talk, man. And you hear some of
yeah.
the stories and stuff like that, and some of them were probably wildly inappropriate, but looking back on it, it's kind of like, man, that was just Kevin.
Man, you gotta be in shape to talk trash. I be
My,
trying to breathe.
I just be
my,
making jokes. I just try to make jokes.
my thing, I talk shit because I'm probably like one of the worst guys on the court at the moment. So I got to do something. I
Yeah,
got
I get
somebody.
that.
I'll
You
just
gotta
talk.
get the
All my shots. I'm still going to talk.
yeah.
Still going to talk.
I know players like you.
I shot the ball backwards. I shot the ball backwards on accident. I'm still talking.
I know players like you for sure. They can't do nothing else, but they mouth gonna be running all game. It was
I can
like,
untie shoes. I untied somebody's shoes one time.
I can play defense, and I have a really nice jump shot. The form is beautiful, but it's not going to go in.
okay,
Yeah,
Immaculate.
you gotta work on that. Come on
Immaculate.
now.
All right, Diamond. This will be the last question. But
Okay.
it may be the most important question that we ask. Now, you've had some time in Chicago to figure out what some of your favorite spots to eat at are, and I'm
Mhm.
curious, what is your favorite spot to eat at?
My favorite spot to eat at
That might
by
be Chicago
far,
centric. You know what I mean?
my favorite spot to eat at is a black-owned restaurant. It's called Soleil.
Okay.
And let me try to see where it is.
Yeah.
So
Shout them out. Shout them out.
yeah, Soleil is like, I mean, I met the owner. Her name is Bridget, and she shows so much love, man. Like, a lot of athletes, celebrities, a lot of people eat at this spot, and she has like pictures with everybody and
Mhm.
everything. And it's on West Chicago Ave, 1931 West Chicago Ave. It's a soul food restaurant, and if you know me, like, I love soul food. They got fried chicken, fried catfish, lamb chops, wings, like mac and cheese, green, like
That's that
all that.
Georgia
And
coming
it's
out in you, huh?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing. They play R&B in there. They have black art hanging on the walls that you can purchase. It's just a vibe, it's just a
Yeah.
vibe, and I love that spot.
What part of town is it?
Um, I'm not all the way familiar with my geography in Chicago, so it's in
I'm gonna assume it's downtown.
yeah, it's downtown.
Oh, so it's probably in the loop. Oh, wait, you said Chicago? That's either
Wicker Park. It's near Wicker Park.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not far from, or it's in that area.
Okay, I got you.
So,
It's probably off the blue.
so Shah, you said it's Soleil, correct?
Yeah, Soule.
And with all the bars and restaurants opening, make sure you go check out Soleil. Make sure you make a reservation, because it sounds like a place you need a reservation
Yeah,
at.
yeah,
Don't
for
just walk
sure. I
up in there
mean,
expecting to sit down.
yeah, it's weights. It's definitely weights.
And then tangential question off of what's your favorite food. What's the verdict on deep dish pizza? That's part of the name. The part of the sauce name comes from I'm a connoisseur of pizza sauce.
Well, okay, so I have some dietary restrictions. I've had deep dish pizza once, but I don't eat tomatoes anymore. So the time that I had it, it was good. I enjoyed it. I think it was a little overhyped. But it was good. You know, it's a unique concept for sure. So I enjoyed that. But I'm not a big cheese eater. I'm more of like on the bread side of things.
Sure.
But it was good.
That was a very good political answer, especially because you play in the city of Chicago. You know how to play them.
Yeah, it was good. And now that I no longer eat tomatoes, my opinion is kind of obsolete because I can't even try different spots. So
true.
Smart. You're smart.
Sauce is a diehard deep dish guy, and I agree with you. It's overrated. I'd rather have thin.
Yeah, I love thin crust. I can
chow down on some thin crust. I could chow down on some thin crust.
You can eat more. You can eat more.
For sure.
Are you eating more, or are you eating just like if you stacked it all up and you did the math? I'm pretty sure you're eating the same.
You think you're eating more. That's the thing.
But do I want to eat more?
The mind has a weird way of playing tricks on us when we're eating.
Really am I full, or am I just bored? Or am I hungry, or am I bored? Probably both.
Probably both.
Diamond, we want to thank you so much for coming on and giving us so much of your time. This has been so much fun. I really enjoyed myself. I hope that you can say the same. But thank you for coming on the Missed Call podcast. This, again, like I said, is just so much fun. It was so much fun.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all. And best of luck in school and your classes and everything. I remember those days. I don't miss them, but live it up. I know it's this crazy time right now, but I wish you guys the best with everything, for real.
Thank you so much, Diamond. That means a ton.
Yeah, no problem.
Nothing's gonna stop me now. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna be struggling on finals and be like, no.
Exactly.
Diamond told me to have a good.
Exactly.
And that's what's gonna get me through.
If you know what, there's one thing you walk away from this podcast with, and it be that, I'm okay with that.
I got it. All right.
Thank you so much again. We're gonna say it 15 more times before I end the thing. So thank you again, and then thank you again.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right. This has been episode 106 of the Missed Call podcast. We'll see you guys next time.
Peace.
That's a great way.